Good afternoon and welcome to the live streaming of the presentation of La Biennale di Venezia's Education Initiatives for Schools. I would like to extend you the greetings of La Biennale di Venezia's president, Mr. Paolo Baratta, and of the head of education, Ms. Valentina Borsato. This initiative is part of La Biennale di Venezia's initiatives dedicated to schools and the world of education in general. La Biennale dedicates a wide range of activities and initiatives to all kinds of audiences and to schools and universities in particular. Every year, on the occasion of La Biennale di Venezia's Architecture and Art Biennales, tens of thousands of visitors take part in La Biennale's education initiatives. On the occasion of the last International Art Exhibition, we had more than 30,000 students participating in education initiatives in particular. And this involved more than 5,000 students and teachers from different institutes. Now I'm going to illustrate to you the themes of this year's initiatives and La Biennale di Venezia's activities for schools. Please, let's start with the presentation. This is La Biennale di Venezia's president speaking. La Biennale brings a decisive impulse to the activities in its educational program and thereby confirms its attention to the younger generation, to their familiarity with the arts and with the Biennale as an institution in particular. And with reference to the current International Art Exhibition, says the President, La Biennale observes the relationship between art and the development of the human, social, and political world as external forces and phenomena loom large over it. Our aim as Biennale is to investigate how the tensions of the outside world act on the sensitivities and the vital and expressive energies of artists, on their desires and their inner song. This is what Mr. Baratta says about the current International Art Exhibition, whose title is All the World's Futures. The curator of this year's exhibition is Okwi Enweza, who is the first African curator of La Biennale di Venezia's International Art Exhibition. The title is, as I just said, All the World's Futures. With reference to his International Art Exhibition, Mr. Enweza said that since its first edition in 1895, the visual art exhibition of La Biennale di Venezia has existed at the confluence of many socio-political changes and radical historical ruptures across the fields of art, culture, politics, technology, and economics. This is a very relevant statement as it addresses one of the most structural features of the Venice Biennale, which originated in the 19th century and grew with a very large amount of national participations and even national pavilions, which are still present at La Biennale di Venezia's Giardini, and with a different format at the Arsenale and in town. Still now, La Biennale di Venezia features more than 85 national participations in its International Art Exhibition, and it started with just 13 back in 1895. Every participating country is completely autonomous and organizes its own exhibition, which contributes to the overall exhibition whose curator is appointed by the Venice Biennale. In this case, it is indeed Mr. Okwi Enweza, who has two spaces at his disposal, namely the Central Pavilion at La Biennale's Giardini and the Corderia, part of the Artiglieria, and part of the Giardino delle Vergini at the Arsenale. The Angel of History. Here we see two images. One is Paul Klee's Angelus Novus, and the other one is a portrait of German philosopher Walter Benjamin. Benjamin gave a very interesting interpretation of this work by Paul Klee, referring to it as Angelus Novus, as the angel of history, reversing in a way the concept of progress. In his description of Angelus Novus, says Walter Benjamin, that the Angelus Novus is looking back at all the rubble, all the ruins, all the misery, all the victims of history, and would like to revive them, to resuscitate them in a way, but a sort of storm from heaven just drives him away from the past into the future. And that this, says Walter Benjamin, is what we call progress. This is a quotation from the statement of Oakley and Weiser, curator of the current edition, who, in addressing the theme All the World's Futures, wanted to start with Walter Benjamin's interpretation of the idea of progress and history, and especially to address the state of anxiety and the state of permanent threat or menace, which is part of the sort of psychology of contemporary human beings. And Weiser didn't propose an overarching theme for the exhibition, but rather a series of filters, of ways through which the exhibition should or could be experienced or interpreted. The first one is liveness on epic duration, and it addresses the relationship between the spatial and temporal aspects of the exhibition. The exhibition is surely existing in space, the space of the Giardini della Biennale and of the Arsenale, which are two very historically pregnant spaces, and time, because the exhibition is going to survive, to endure, to live throughout its duration. The question is whether these two aspects of the exhibition, its temporality and its spatial aspects, can coincide with each other, preventing the exhibition from becoming a totally spatialized set of objects. Regarding this aspect, there is an arena at the center of the central pavilion, and there is a series of live performances also at the Arsenale, which are going to keep the exhibition alive and give it its own tempo throughout the coming months. The second theme is the Garden of Disorder, and it addresses, again, a structural feature of the Venice Biennale as being, so to speak, staged in a garden, the Giardini della Biennale, and having different gardens in it, the Giardino delle Vergini and others. The idea of the garden as an area which is enclosed and in which relaxation and leisure dominate is a key term in Oakley and Weiser's interpretation of the Giardini della Biennale, which are full of national participations and national pavilions, which also show the history of diplomacy and history of politics of the 20th century. The theme of disorder also addresses the state, indeed, of anxiety of the last decades, in which the world order is undergoing very serious transformation, and it's triggering a series of reactions of anxiety and worries and threats. The third theme is reading capital. So capital and capitalism are the big drama of our times, says Mr. Weiser. Capitalism looms large on every aspect of human experience nowadays, and it has infiltrated most aspects of human experience. But what is capital? What is capitalism? The question also is a question for artists, whether it is possible to represent, address, have a dialogue with the very big phenomena which are governing big processes in contemporary society. So reading capital is a question of interpreting capitalism, trying to give a representation of capitalism, having a dialogue with capitalism, but also, quite literally, reading the whole Das Kapital by Karl Marx, which is a live reading which is going to take place between the opening of the exhibition, which already took place on May 9th, 2015, until its end on November the 22nd. So reading also the whole book by Karl Marx, Das Kapital, is going to be a part of this 56th International Art Exhibition. 2015 is going to be rich. It's going to be full of other meetings, appointments, and initiatives by La Biennale di Venezia, which has a number of different sectors. Of course, art, but also dance, music, theater, cinema, and architecture, which organizes the International Architecture Exhibition on even years, so not in 2015. During the next months, we're going to have Biennale Danza, so Dance Biennale, from June the 25th till June the 28th. Its director is Virgilio Sieni, who about Biennale Danza says that Venice becomes a metaphor of a world which reflects on the legacy of the past and invites us to launch a cycle of exercises for the future based on the dignity of gestures, on the body and on dance, understood as territories for a research on human nature and on beauty, on humanity and beauty. The 43rd International Theatre Festival is going to take place from July the 3rd till August the 9th. Its director is Alex Rigola. The 43rd International Theatre Festival will feature 13 scheduled shows, 18 workshops, and it will be a workshop festival designed to make Venice a hub of the reflection on plurivocal theatre. We're going to have the 59th International Festival of Contemporary Music, The Sound of Memory, taking place from October the 2nd till October the 11th, 2015. Its director is Ivan Fedele, who says that the festival will center on the theme of memory in the various senses of the term, both as a perceptive cognitive tool indispensable for a hermeneutic experience and as a recollection and a vivid revitalizing vestige of history in the contemporary age. This was Biennale Music. Let's now come to education initiatives proper. The Biennale di Venezia dedicates a number of initiatives and activities to schools ranging from nursery schools to primary schools to middle schools, junior high schools to high schools. Every school, every cycle in people's education have a dedicated activity. Let's now come to specific activities. Hands-on creative workshops, which are dedicated to children from 3-4 years old until 10-11 years old. Children will experience the exhibition, both its Giardini and its Arsenale sides, through expert activities led by operators who are trained. We have a team of international docents coming from 7 different countries and having activities in 7 different languages. And we have a part of our team who specialized in education activities for children, indeed. Hands-on creative workshops, of course, use manipulation, drawing, and physical interaction with artworks to ease and stimulate children's understanding of contemporary art. Multidisciplinary programs and workshops are dedicated to children from 3-4 years old until 13-14 years old, and they combine a visit of the International Art Exhibition with a proper workshop with a group of composers or choreographers, so they intersect contemporary visual arts with dance or with music. Their format changes, notably with respect to the ages and to the competences of participants. Of course, there are slightly different formats for 5, 6 years old children as there are for 8, 9 years old children or 13, 14 years old students. We have then multimedia workshops, which are particularly suitable for children or students from 10 until 15, 16 years old, and they combine a visit of the International Art Exhibition with work based on information technology devices, most notably computers with open source programs, which are used by students both here in our exhibition venues and then back to school to continue the work they have been doing to practically unfold their understanding of the artworks they have been experiencing and to elaborate images and carry on with their understanding of the exhibition on their own. We then have activities dedicated to high schools and to, let's say, junior high schools. We have guided tours and theme-based visits on one hand, and then text-based workshops. Guided tours and theme-based visits are dedicated most notably to high schools, and they combine a visit of the main exhibition with the possibility to include national participations in the visit proper. We have a very open team of educators, and if teachers want to talk about customized, tailor-made activities based on what they're doing at school, we are very flexible and we are very happy to devise activities customized to meet their needs or wishes. We also have text-based workshops, which are particularly suitable for students between 11 and 18 years old, and they consist of a visit of the exhibition of roughly half an hour, 40 minutes, followed by a free visit in small groups of national pavilions with texts which work basically as orienteering questionnaires, which can be used to extract information about national pavilions or specific projects, and then are going to be followed by a discussion of the projects experienced and seen by students together with the supervision of our professional operators. This is very, let's say, in very broad outline, the series of activities we dedicate to schools. If you have questions, I invite you to write to the email address you've been seeing throughout, promozione, with a Z, promozione@labiennale.org. But I would like to remind you that on September the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, other open days for teachers are going to take place. There will be an open day for teachers, especially held in English, on September the 4th. So September the 4th is the day dedicated to English-speaking teachers. You can sign up for free by writing to promozione@labiennale.org, labiennale.org, or inform yourself on our website, labiennale.org. Our contacts, also with our telephone number, are 0039 for Italy, 041 5218 828. And our email address is, again, promozione@labiennale.org. On behalf of the education team, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I warmly invite you to participate in our September initiatives dedicated to school of all cycles and types, and to visit our initiatives and manifestations. Thank you again, and goodbye.